Hello YouTube, welcome to another one of my Duel Links videos. Today I have for you a vampire deck. Now this is probably like the 20th vampire video you've seen today. I know I'm really late to the party, but I had to work some overtime today, so this is the only time I was able to, separate for recording. But I did get to play with this deck a little bit. I don't know how much different it is from other people's decks. I haven't seen a bunch of videos. I did, get notified of playmakers and guns blazing. But I didn't get a chance to watch them, so this is what I'm running. First of all, we're running Cyber style because I've been trying to level up InZane, and it just made sense in a deck that has 5 1-tribute monsters. Just really easy to use, to get tribute summoning fodder. It's also good with cards like Vampire's Desire, because you can target 1 vampire monster in your graveyard, send 1 monster you control to the graveyard. And if you do special summon the targeted monster, you can only activate once per turn. So if you already have, your Grace in the graveyard, for example, you can just use one of the Cyber Dragon or whatever they're called. I can't remember what they're called. And with Vampire's Desire to bring it back. It's also good. This deck tries to be very aggressive. So, if you're really close to having game, that 1100 attack monster might be the difference between you winning the game that turn or the next turn. I also have Econ. You can always Econ take. But that's, that was kind of the idea behind the skill. The build is pretty standard in my opinion. I have 2 Vampire Retainer, 2 Familiar, which are the main, the main engine of the deck. They both basically have the same effect, which is if they're in the graveyard, you can send 1 vampire card from your hand or that you control to the graveyard to special summon it. And then on special summon, Retainer will give you a spell or trap card, a vampire spell or trap card, and Familiar will give you a vampire monster. So once you get through that, they're pretty easy to use. The one thing to understand is that once you special summon them using that effect, they will be banished the next time they leave the field. So for example, you can't special summon Retainer and then try to use Familiar's effect with Retainer, because Retainer would not go to the grave. Also, if you're using Vampire's Desire, I believe it'll let you target this card. Or even though they're gonna get banished, it'll let you target it. But when the effect resolves and this goes to the banish pile instead of the graveyard, you won't get your monster back. So you have to be careful, because I think I made that misplay once. I'm running a 3 Samurai Skull. I used to have Gozuki instead of Samurai Skull. I had like 1 Gozuki, 2 Samurai Skull. At one point I think I had 2 Gozuki, 1 Samurai Skull, and then I finally ended up cutting the Gozuki. So this is accessible, for the free to play of you out there that don't have the 3 Gozuki. Samurai Skull is just better, and the reason why it's better in this deck is because if they remove it, for example, if you're going up against Amazoness and you banish your Samurai Skull, you're going to be able to special summon either Retainer or Familiar from your graveyard. Also, and the most important reason why this is here instead of Gozuki is because you need your mill immediately. I lost 2 duels in particular where all I needed was my mill. If I had been able to activate Gozuki's effect and send my monster to the graveyard, I would have won the game easily. But because Floodgate is out there, because Paleozoic Canada is out there, it's really important to get the effect on summon instead of waiting to activate it. Like I said, if you normal summon the Gozuki and they Floodgate or Paleozoic Canada before you get to mill, then you're most likely are done for the rest of that turn. Samurai Skull is going to trigger the effect immediately. Also, the effect of special summoning from the hand by banishing a zombie type monster from Gozuki didn't really come up. So I just went triple Samurai Skull. You can do 2 in 1 so that you can maybe special summon the Gozuki if your Samurai Skull gets removed. But there was one duel in particular where I only had 1 Gozuki in the deck, and literally they floodgated, and had that been Samurai Skull, I would have won the game. So I got salty about that, and that's why he's gone. We're in 2 Vampire Scarlet Scourge. I like this card. It lets you special summon a vampire monster from your graveyard on summon. However, you cannot battle with it, so that's very important to know. But you can still activate the effect. So if you special summon Retainer, Familiar, you're gonna get the effect. If you special summon Grace, you're still gonna be able to, you know, send a card from your opponent's deck to the graveyard. And you know, it's fine, especially since I run cards like Enemy Controller. You know, if I need to use the Econ take for games, since this monster can attack, and I can always do that. I like the card. 2200 attack, 2200 defense, not too bad. 27 under the field spell. Vampire Grace is really good with the field spell because you'll be able to make your opponent send something to the graveyard and then pop a card. The other tribute monster I'm running is Vampire Crimson. I really like this card, but the only bad thing is that the life points add up very quickly. Like if you're using Domain, you're gonna pay 500 for this, 500 for this, 1000 for these. So a lot of times you won't have the life points to you know, to pay, even though you technically have Vampire's Domain, which will recover some of your life. A lot of times I didn't really Domain. I would use the effect and then use it as fodder for either my Retainer or Familiar to keep on with the play. So life points was kind of an issue. That's why we only run one Crimson. I'm sure any other vampires would work. Vampire Vamp. I would like to make a deck for her in particular, but I don't think in this version was gonna help me much. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a scrub. But this is my build, guys. Remember that. So the one Econ, this could be anything. This could be a second Divine Wrath. Divine Wrath could be a Treasure Strap Hole. That's the kind of beauty of this deck right now, is that you can build it however you want it, put in whatever text you want. So Enemy Controller is not needed, just a nice deck. You can run 2 Enemy Controllers, but I like the Divine Wrath. Vampire's Desire, I already went through over one of the effects. The other one is you can target one face-up monster you control, send one vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard with a different level from the monster, and if you do, the targeted monster becomes the level of that send monster in the graveyard until the end of the turn. The level is not gonna matter too much unless you're running something like Beatdown, but being able to send something to the grave, it's really good with Vampire's Desire, so that's why we have 2 of them in case I don't open up with my you know, my Samurai Skull. And then Vampire's Domain, you should know what this card does. It lets you normal summon an additional vampire monster during your turn, even if the card leaves the field. So if you need to activate this and then you know, send it from the field to special summon one of these, you're still gonna be able to do your tribute summon, which is real good. And then the one Divine Wrath just for attack. So I'm sorry that, you know, this explanation went for as long as it did. It usually happens whenever there's a brand new box. So I'll make sure to put a time skip in the comment section. But if you're hearing this, then you already heard all of it or you scrolled through it. So I guess that won't do you any good. But we're gonna start things off with the Bandit Keith. I play this deck a lot, so I don't actually remember most of these replays. The one thing that this deck does struggle with is going first. It doesn't have a very strong board that you can just set and, you know, dare your opponent to break. This deck definitely likes to go second, as you're seeing right here. So that went kind of fast. I used my Gozuki to send, which one did I send? To send my Retainer to the graveyard, and then I sent my Familiar to the graveyard to special summon Retainer. That's a pretty standard play. You can do that, you know, however you want, depending on which one you have in hand and which one you're gonna mill with the Gozuki. But that's gonna be your standard play. So here, I'm going to special summon my Familiar, get my Crimson out, tribute summon for Vampire Grace. I'm gonna make him send a spell. This is gonna let me destroy the face down, which happened to be a, why can I not pause this? Which happened to be Sylvan Snapdrassing. And I thought it was pretty funny that, you know, my opponent actually got the Martial Leaf to mill and destroy my Vampire Grace. And this is where the skill kind of came in clutch. I put in a Cyber Dragon, put on a Cyber Dragon on the field, and that gave me enough damage to just win the game right there. That's why I went with Cyber Style, you know, having that extra monster to be able to tribute or to attack. It's really good, and in a deck where you're playing so many life points, it's really easy to activate the skill. You don't have to wait until your opponent attacks you or anything like that. So it was a nice and easy first replay. This is kind of a brick, but this is one of those hands where if I'd have gone first, it would have been really bad. I would have to take some damage, activate my skill, and then, tribute summon and try to go from there. But luckily I pick up a Gozuki. We're gonna send a Retainer to the graveyard. Special summon Retainer by sending Scourge to the graveyard. And this is where I misplay. So I'm not sure if I was able to use Desire because my effect was being negated, but obviously once it leaves the field, it's going to go to the banish pile. So this is where the misplay comes. Activate Desire to try to bring my monster back, and nothing happens. So Pepe hands. I have to just destroy the Drill Dart, and I still have another Scourge in my hand. So now I'm gonna send Vampire Grace. That's one nice thing about Gozuki, is that you do get multiple mills if he survives. But like I said, he was floodgated one too many duels, and I just had to remove it. But we're gonna special summon Vampire Grace. Even though he cannot attack, I can still destroy the back row. And I'm actually gonna send Grace to the graveyard to special summon my Retainer. And then I pick up this card. I'm gonna go ahead and search my spell, Vampire Desire, activate my skill, and send my Proto Cyber Dragon to bring back my Vampire Grace, which can now attack. I can activate the effect of milling, but the field spell is only once per turn. But it's not gonna matter. I have 3 monsters on board, so that's more than enough damage to win the game right there. One misplay, but some nice plays to go along with it, so bear with me. Which replay are we on? Have we only done 2, or did I already did the Kaiba one? I'm confused. I don't know. I think we've only done 2 replays, but I could be wrong. So here we're going up against Yugi Moto. It's late, people. I'm tired, so I'm sorry if I seem distracted. Going up against Yugi Moto. I don't know what they're running, but we're going second, which again we like. I'm gonna go with Familiar, Vampire's Domain to tribute summon for Grace. And then I'm gonna get my dog in the graveyard, search up a monster, and I'm just gonna use that monster. Actually, I'm gonna use my Domain to get my Vampire's Kingdom. Now I can activate Grace effect, destroy the face down, and that's the game. So that was for hire. I'm not gonna say that, oh yeah, this deck beats for hires. Obviously for hire went first, they didn't overextend, and it was an easy OTK for me. We got one more Esther Phoenix, and then the Kaiba that I don't know why I feel like I already showed that replay, but I don't think I have. Esther Phoenix running I don't know what they're running actually. I cannot remember. And this is what I'm talking about. We're going first, so we can't really do our plays. There's no point in overextending. We're probably just gonna, hurt ourselves. So all I do is set my Retainer, set my enemy controller. Oh, I remember this now. We're gonna see turn 1, Buster Blader, Destruction Swordsman. Which I was not expecting. But luckily for me, I have the enemy controller, so I don't need to take the 2800 to the face right away. And now I can use my Vampire's Desire to send my Familiar to the grave, so that I can search my Vampire Grace, tribute my Retainer, and the whole point of my place here is to get my my field spell, so I can use Grace effect and destroy the Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer. But look at what my opponent does. I remember now why I saved this replay. I'm gonna activate Vampire Kingdom. He flips over Needle Ceiling, gets absolute max value by destroying my entire field. But now it's a battle of top decks. I can activate my Cyber style, but I'm not really worried about his deck. It's a fusion deck, so he's gonna need a bunch of cards before he can summon something. So we're gonna see the Palistoic Canadia, and this is what I'm talking about. Had this been a Gozuki and he activates this on summon, I don't get my mill anymore, and you know, my turn is pretty much over. I can attack for 500, that's it. So really clutch that it's a Samurai Skull and my mill goes through. I'm going to send my familiar to get retainer, search my Vampire's Desire, activate my skill, and then send the Proto Dragon for my Vampire Grace, activate my Grace's effect, destroy the back row, which was not a threat, just the Shinsenhu, and go for game after that. This deck is afraid of wall disruption a whole lot, so anytime I see a back row, if I can destroy it, I will destroy it instead of chancing it. Because I did get hit with a couple of wall of Ds during testing. And again, the Divine Wrath had for hire in mind, but as a one-off, I realized that it's probably not gonna come up a whole lot. I might be better off just running something like Treacherous or a second enemy controller.
Duel.
We're going second, and this is the mirror match. This was kind of cool, and literally this is what I mean. He had a really good turn 1 and it still wasn't enough. So Vampires just really struggled going first. Look at this place. We're gonna see Vampire take over right away. So he's gonna get Vampire Kingdom, which benefits both players, by the way. It doesn't say zombie monsters you control, it's all zombie monsters on the field. So he's gonna special summon Vampire Vamp. Kingdom is gonna destroy my Samurai Skull, which was kind of a bad play, but I think yeah, so the effect is mandatory, so he had to destroy my Samurai Skull. All that's gonna do is, you know, further my place. I'm gonna special summon Familiar to search my Vampire Grace, activate Retainer's effect, put Grace in the graveyard to search out Domain. Domain is gonna activate, which is gonna let me tribute for my Vampire Scarlet Scourge. And the play was always enemy controller. I knew I had enemy controller, so I wanted to get Grace on the field, destroy the back row, go for Econ, and win the game. We're gonna pay the 1000 to special summon Vampire Grace, go for Vampire Kingdom, and as soon as he sees that I can take care of his back row, he immediately goes for the Econ take. Unluckily for him, I have an enemy controller of my own, so I'm going to steal the Vampire Vamp, and not only that, I can still use my Grace effect because I also have Vampire's Desire, so I can target my Vampire Grace, get rid of Vampire Vamp, and special summon Grace, you know, go for the effect and destroy Vampire Kingdom. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because when my opponent sees this, he immediately scoops, so you didn't get to see the rest of the play, but it was pretty much over for him. I just had too many resources and pretty much the answer for everything he tried. But that's gonna be it for me. Almost a 20-minute video. Wow. Sorry that this video is so long. I mean, I put the time skip, so maybe you only watched 10 minutes, which was the duels. But I hope you enjoyed this. This deck is a lot of fun. I'm definitely gonna use it during stream. Maybe you guys can help me improve it. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. But for starters, I think I will do Treacherous instead. I know there's gonna be one time where Divine Wrath would have won me the duel, but we'll just go with Treacherous. That's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you want. Join my Discord if you haven't. The link will be down in the description, along with my PayPal link if you guys want to support my channel, support my content. I really appreciate that. Until next time.